Thank you all. I love doing barn rallies in Alabama. Thank you for having us down here. Look, tomorrow, the question's called. It's an up or down vote tomorrow, right? Between the Trump miracle and the nullification project. Now, we got the whole world here. You see, turn around, see them. See them all here? They're all back there. The entire opposition party, right? Why are they all here? Why are they here from NHK and CCTV in China, the Financial Times of London, the Guardian? Come on, wave, Guardian. Come on, fellas. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen of the press. Thank you, sir. Give me some mobility. So the question is called. This is greater than Judge Moore, right? It's even greater than the people of Alabama. I know one thing. Nobody can come down here and tell folks in Alabama what to do. The cussedness, the grit, the determination. You're the backbone of this nation. Nobody's going to come down here and tell you what to do. And I'm a Virginian. It's the last thing a Virginian do is tell somebody from Alabama what to do, right? By the way, morning, Joe. You called me a Yankee the other day. Just because I'm from Richmond, Virginia, the capital of the Confederacy. That's right, Joe. I got into some Yankee schools, Georgetown and Harvard, that I don't think you made the cut on, brother. Just because a Southerner goes to a Yankee school, Joe, doesn't make him a Yankee. Let's talk about this Trump miracle. Let's talk about what, and I was there on November 8th and November 9th, and trust me, in the sweet hour of prayer, in the wee hours of the 9th of November of 2016, it was the hand of divine providence that delivered that victory. Now, they're going to mock and ridicule that tomorrow. That'll be a headline. Bannon said God wanted for Trump, right? They're all in it for Putin, wanted for Trump. It's so sad, so sad. But here's what's happened. Look what's happened in the time. Look what's happened in the time since President Trump. It is a true miracle, right? 2.2 million jobs. Oh, it comes in three things. Comes in three things. Our sovereignty, our economy, and our national security. Exactly what he promised on the campaign trail. When I got in the White House, I took all the furniture out. I took all the furniture out and just put a standing desk and a bunch of whiteboards. Number one, I didn't want to have a meeting longer than 5 minutes. And if you have a standing desk, no seats, no table, they're very short. All we did was put up the campaign promises. Look what President Trump's delivered. On our sovereignty, what is it, 46 years, the lowest illegal alien crossings across the southern border? And he stopped mass illegal immigration. The number one beneficiary of that is the Hispanic and black working class. Because they don't have to compete with illegal alien labor. These folks don't understand. Ethno-nationalism has got nothing to do with it, folks. Economic nationalism does not care what your race is, your color, your ethnicity, your religion, your gender, your sexual preference. It doesn't care. It cares about one thing. You're a citizen of the United States of America. And what Donald Trump promised was a different deal. Here's the deal. That workers, American workers, right, are going to be considered at the top of the heap, not the bottom of the heap with trade deals and illegal immigration. He's gotten our sovereignty back. He's backed Senator Perdue and Cotton's RAISE Act to limit legal immigration so that kids coming through the STEM programs, right, and to get these high technology jobs, That's how Hispanic and the black working class are going to get these great middle class jobs. They can't compete against the entire world unfairly in their own country. It's not right. On the campaign trail, they mocked and ridiculed Trump every day on his economic plan. The Wall Street Journal, Financial Times of London laughed at it. We don't have a tax cut yet. We'll have a tax cut by next week. But look at what unemployment in 17 years, the lowest black unemployment in 17 years. Hispanic unemployment is 4.7%. I don't think it's never ever been that low. 40,000 manufacturing jobs created in November. 2 million jobs overall. American jobs for American workers. He's recutting every trade deal. NAFTA, the deal with Korea, the deal with Japan. He's forcing China to the table. With our intellectual property, a 301 to protect our technology, a 232 to protect our steel, a 201 to protect our aluminum. And what do you see every day? You read the Wall Street Journal, Financial Times. Every country in the world's complaining and bellyaching. You know why? There's finally somebody standing up for the United States of America. You all talk about hate speech. What about the economic hate crimes the establishment has foisted on the workers in the United States of America? And that's what Donald Trump has turned upside down. Economic nationalism has us at 3.9% growth. The tax cut's going to be an accelerant. We're going to see growth like you've never seen before. You got companies in Japan and Germany, all over the world, all over Europe, and Korea trying to invest in the United States of America. You know why? They know tariffs are coming. They know quotas are coming. Yes, Wall Street Journal, they know protectionism's coming. And you know it's going to protect American workers' jobs. On our national security, you know, if you go back to January 20th, to the inauguration, he had a phrase in there he wrote down at Mar-a-Lago. We will rejuvenate old alliances and create new ones. And we will unite the civilized world to eradicate radical Islamic terrorism from the face of the earth. When he wrote those words, I said, Mr. President-elect, Mr. Trump, I said, man, that's a pretty big check we're going to have to cash. He says, I know that. In 10 months, what did Iraq do yesterday? They said the war with ISIS was over in Iraq. You're right, brother. In 10 months, he destroyed the physical caliphate of ISIS. These people, in 2014, under the previous commander-in-chief, they had 8 million people under slavery in Iraq and Syria. They were recruiting nonstop in Europe. They had oil wells and wheat fields they were taxing. They were a more robust nation state than Iraq and Syria at the time. And I don't want to hear that this was Obama's plan. This was not Obama's plan. General Mattis and President Trump said, we're going to physically destroy the caliphate of ISIS. He went over to Riyadh. He went over to Riyadh and called all, with the king of Saudi Arabia, called all, I think it was 44, 45 Muslim nations together, said, we're prepared to work as partners. We're prepared to stand up to Iran. We're prepared to watch that, stop that Persian expansion right through Baghdad and Damascus all the way to the sea to Hezbollah in Beirut. We're prepared to help you stop it in Yemen. But here's what you got to do. You got to stop financing radical Islamic terrorism in Europe and the United States. And those countries, the United Arab Emirates and the Saudis, took action, right? This is a part of the world they're always double-dealing you. They took action, bold action. That's Donald J. Trump's leadership. And do you ever hear that? Do you ever hear the Trump miracle? Do you ever hear him talk about that? Do you ever hear him talk about the economic miracle? You ever heard of this turnaround of economic nationalism before the tax cut? And that corporate tax cut, when the $3 trillion gets repatriated here, and the corporations get to be more competitive in their tax rates, more jobs, more plant. You expense plant and equipment 100% on the day you put it in. More manufacturing jobs. But you don't hear that every morning on the opposition party. This is not a fair and balanced media. They don't even make any pretense. They know that. Lock her up. Senator Sessions, are you listening? This would be Senator Sessions' seat now, wouldn't it? Come on, Senator Sessions. You've got to work with us on this one. He's brought our sovereignty back. He's turned our economy around. He's dealing with this situation. It was left in North Korea where all the geniuses in Clinton and Bush and Obama, all these guys said they'd never get the nuclear weapon. Right? He's having to deal with that with China at the same time. In every part of the world, think about it. In Venezuela, he was left the Bay of Pigs in Venezuela, the Cuban Missile Crisis in North Korea, and Vietnam and Afghanistan. That was dumped on Donald Trump, all the geniuses out there. Right? They mock and ridicule him every day. And look how he's sorting it out with America First. America First doesn't mean isolationist. It means America engaged in the world on America's terms. In America's self-interest. And you know what you find out when you do that? When it's in the vital national security interests of the United States, it's in the vital national security interests of local allies, right? Trump wants to get away from the protectorates. Everybody's a protectorate. Everybody's dependent upon the United States. It's your tax dollars that underwrite it. And more important, it's your sons and daughters that are over there. And those ships in the South China Sea, that army up there in Korea and Okinawa, in the Hindu Kush Mountains in Afghanistan, the 2,000 we have in Iraq, the 2,000 we got in Niger, whether it's sub-Saharan Africa, the Persian Gulf, the South China Sea, or the Northwest Pacific, it's your sons and daughters. Our most precious resource, squandered by the elites in this country. You know why? Their sons and daughters aren't over there. No way. No way. They want you to pay for it, and they want your kids to enforce it. Under Donald Trump, that deal's changed. And now let's talk about who really brought this on us. It was the Republican establishment, right? This should be an absolute blowout, except for what they did to Judge Moore, because they couldn't stand being beaten in the first round, right? First, they crushed a good man named Bo Brooks unfairly, because they thought that Judge Moore was going to be an easier target. Because they said, hey, only those crazy Christians down in Alabama vote for him. He'll never get more than 33%. They didn't understand something. The populist nationalists of Mo Brooks, the conservatives, all going to back Judge Moore. To Mitch McConnell and Senator Shelby and Condi Rice and all that little Bobby Corker, all that establishment up there every day that doesn't have Trump's back. You know they don't have his back at all. What they want him for is that corporate tax cut. That's all they want him for. As soon as they get that tax cut, you watch what happens. There's a special place in hell for Republicans who should know better. You know what they're doing. You know what they're doing when they're trying to shut up President Trump and Judge Moore? They're trying to shut you up. Why do you think the whole world's here? Why do you think they're down here in Dothan and Midland Cities? Why are they here? Why are they in Alabama? You know why? This is about raw power. And they understand what the working men and women of the United States of America set their mind to something, things change. And they're petrified. I was in Scotland last week in the United Kingdom. I'm going to Japan. I just got back from Asia. I'm talking to all these highfalutin groups. And all they want to know is one thing. What are these deplorables about? And as President Trump loves to say, no games. Right? Games are over. We're not going to have people we give money to and support militarily finance radical Islamic terrorism. Those games are over, right? We're not going to be in some situation in China and they're giving guys nuclear weapons and threatening us. Those games are over, right? We're not going to have the deadbeats in the EU want us to protect them in NATO and not spend. And we've got to be supplicants to get 2% for the defense budgets. Under Trump, it's different, and that's what this whole thing's about. The Republican establishment, by the way, they would rather see Roy Moore beaten tomorrow. You know that. Because here's why. They would rather control in a minority the Republican Party than be in a majority and have you guys in control. And here's why it is. It was the basic thing when I stepped into the campaign with President Trump. He was down, I don't know, 16 points, double digits in every ballot or something. But the two basic numbers that mattered, I think we had 85 days ago. 2/3 of the American people thought we were on the wrong track, and 75% of the American people thought America's in decline. Now, for our elites of the uniparty, of the Republican and Democrats, the permanent political class that are up there in Washington, D.C., that's just fine. They will manage our decline against China and the rest of the world. You know why? They're going to make just as much money on the way down as they made on the way up. You know who's that not good with that? The deplorables. The working men and women in this country understand not just about future generations, the generations that got us here. Think of the back-breaking labor. Think of what went in to build this country. Are you prepared to give it up and let these elites take it and just give it away? That's the power that elected Donald Trump. That's the power that's going to elect Roy Moore tomorrow. That's the power they fear. And I'm telling you, properly harnessed, it's the greatest power on this earth. In this great country, it's not our natural resources, which are magnificent. A magnificent, stunning country if you've been throughout the world with great resources. It's not even our Constitution, our legal system. It's magnificent. It's really divinely inspired. It's not the capital and the wealth we built up. It's the American people. Every time in the Revolution, in the Civil War, in World War II, in the Great Depression, right? Eventually we set things right. We're in the great fourth turning here. And I tell people, there's no magic wand. Trump can't wave a magic wand over you. Judge Moore can't do that. This is not going to get settled tomorrow. Hell, 10 months into it, he's got 3 investigations on the Hill by Republicans. He's got Mueller's investigation that, contrary to his lawyers, I think is just starting. Right? He's got 2 or 3 attorney generals, state attorney generals. He's got them, they're trying to pull the 25th Amendment. You hear Corker and Morning Joe, they're on that every day. That he's losing his mind, right? 25th Amendment, they're putting that out there. And today you got, Kristen Gillibrand and Bernie Sanders are all saying you got to step down because of Billy Bush weekend. I thought we litigated that. Didn't the American people already vote on that one? Alabama's the fire break and all that. Judge Moore wins tomorrow, it's a different deal. You understand that, right? You got Brother Doug Jones. Is he a Democrat, by the way? All his stuff, he never says he's a Democrat. Brother, you got to embrace Hillary Clinton and the Clintons. You've been in business with them for 25 years. How come you're not proud of it? Right? You were a delegate for Obama. How come you're not proud of that? By the way, if you believe in it, embrace it. Don't try to run to something different. That's all he's doing. And it's never the issues. They never want to debate the issues. Because they understand if they debate the issues, they lose. So they always try to run as conservative as they can get. These folks are too smart for that. The internet kind of put you legacy guys out of business. That's where you're laying off folks all the time. Hell, if Carlos Slim, the wealthiest guy in Mexico, didn't own a big hunk in the New York Times, they'd be out of business. They can't even figure out what to do with CFN, cable fake news. I'm here as a private citizen, Anderson, I know, but it must hurt you to have a guy from Breitbart say that. Tomorrow they call the question. And sons and daughters of Alabama are going to show the world where they stand for this nation. But this is a national election. It is the Trump miracle versus the nullification project. Now, they couldn't beat Trump and they couldn't beat you on November 8th because divine providence was there with us. Now, that is a big responsibility to have on one's shoulders. But you got it on your shoulders. So tomorrow it's incumbent upon you to go get everybody you can. This comes down simply to who's going to work the hardest. And these folks, Doug Jones, those guys, they're hard workers. They're going to be out there. That's their constitutional right, and they should do it. We want them to work as hard as possible. It'll make victory all that much sweeter. I think if we had to put a question of this importance to one state for the globe to watch, I couldn't be prouder as a Virginian to be down here and address the good folks of the state of Alabama. Judge Moore is a good man. Judge Moore is a righteous man. And Judge Moore, they've tried to destroy Judge Moore like I told you they would. Remember I told you this? Months ago I told you there's politics of personal destruction. They tried to destroy Donald Trump. And they tried to destroy Roy Moore. You saw how they did. There's nothing too low for these people to do. They don't know about them. Right? When we go high, they don't only not go low. There's no bottom to how low they'll go. But Judge Roy Moore and his wife and his family came through this, and you should be proud of that. The reason you should be proud of it, you know they do this to send a signal to all these young people out here who are thinking of standing up, right? Who are thinking of throwing off the chains and say, hey, I want to help my people get total and complete freedom. I want to get away from all these deals throughout the world that have taken America's freedom and its wealth and transferred it overseas. And what they're going to do, just like with Trump and just like with Judge Moore, they're going to try to personally destroy them and their families as a lesson to all you young folks. That if you're going to stand up, you're going to get the same thing. They're coming for you. Amen, brother. That's exactly right. Donald Trump showed us in November 2016. Roy Moore showed us in this entire campaign and his family how they comported themselves. And Donald Trump, the nullification project, every day they're after him. Every day, not just the pressure of being commander-in-chief in a time of war, Not just the pressure of trying to redo all these deals are so upside down. Not just the pressure of the Oval Office and the Situation Room and the tank and everything he has to go through. But every day, a different investigation, a different, a Gillibrand asking him to step down because of the Billy Bush stuff. These guys hounding him. Because it's trying to send you a signal, right? That you put up another guy, they're going to destroy him too. That's why men and women in this room, we have to have the backs of these people. One of these establishment guys, I believe it was Willard Mitt Romney. One of my personal favorites. He made a comment before I talked last week in Fairhope in the barn there about, was it honor and integrity? Honor, integrity. Honor and integrity. About a individual that went to the United States Military Academy at West Point and served his country in Vietnam. Fought one of the toughest wars, and one of the toughest wars we ever fought, the Vietnam War, whose veterans were probably the least appreciated in the history of this country. It's a stain on this country. It's a stain on this country how we treated them. Right? We didn't have their back. And Mitt Romney, who avoided service, talks about the integrity and honor of Captain Roy Moore. What kind of country are we living in? Things in the media praises Mitt Romney and he does this and he does that. That doesn't wash. Does not wash. I was a naval officer. My kid brother was a Navy pilot. My daughter went to the United States Military Academy at West Point and served in Iraq with the 101st Airborne. No. We're just an average blue-collar family. We didn't make a career of it. I was the first officer in the family. We had chief warrants and chief petty officers and sergeants, right? We're nothing special. We're just America's working class. Just like all of you. You have an obligation. You have an obligation. Your grandparents served. Your great-grandparents served, right? You served. Or people in your family served. Your sons and daughters served. That's what keeps this whole thing going. It's you. It's the deplorables. It's the hobbits. It's the silent majority. You don't ask for anything. You're there to do your duty. But what you don't want is some elitists that come in here and question the honor and integrity of one of your own. When you fail to serve, brother, you got to keep your mouth shut. Do not insult these people. It's not about Roy Moore. It's about these folks. They don't ask for anything. They're not bragging about it. They just do their duty to their country. Mitt, you might want to get a number 2 pencil out and write that down. Do your duty to your country. I'm so honored tonight to end this little talk with folks in Alabama from a Virginian, not a Yankee. Although sometimes I know down in the deep south they think the Virginians are kind of Yankees. I'm very honored tonight. We have a very special guest. It was a gentleman who actually served in Vietnam with Captain Roy Moore. Honored to bring to the stage now